Just making his way here, and also announcing the arrival of the former national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Alhaji Abubakar Barajo. Would like to welcome you, sir. We'd also like to welcome the former Minister of Sports and former member House of Representatives.
It's me great pleasure to be here this morning. Professor Obiora, Okonkwo, and I have been friends and political allies for many years. And during this period of close collaboration between us, I have found him to be a man of deep focus, reliable, and always willing to lend a hand to make life worthy of living for both the individual and society at large. I'm sure that many of you share these sentiments, which I have started, which must be no more brief than just a brief remarks. The importance of this gathering, its true significance, is that this illustrious son of Nigeria has advanced a step from just having thoughts to the elevated level of putting them down in writing, indelible form to serve as lessons that can only be unquantifiable benefits to our generation and prosperity. Through the annals of world history, it is indisputable that documentation is an assured way of mastering the exigencies and varieties of existence. As the great novelist Chinua Achebe said, who hailed from Ogidi town, after which this hall is named, just like Obiora Okonkwo put it, a people without the knowledge of where they started being pelted by rainfall are unlikely to know where they dried their bodies. From the title of the book, you will see that this intellectual work that suits the period that we're in now, we're in an election period when people must choose how to make our country work and those who can lead us in the execution of this task. The conversation that we're having now as we engage in pre-election campaigns is about how can we make our great country work for the citizens and how can we achieve real and sustainable development in our country. Everyone knows that our society is one in which there's an array of opinions of what our ills and challenges are. Everyone seems to know all the answers. However, only a few, like my good brother here, Professor Obiora, goes beyond armchair prognostication to prescribe medication for healing our ailments and mastering our difficulties. This is what Professor Okonkwo has done in this book that we're here to launch. There are two striking observations from what I've read of the book so far. Obiora Okonkwo's submission is based on his views and antecedents. He has utilized his experiences in conducting a comparative analysis between what obtains in our society and the best observable fine points in other parts of the world. Based on his findings, this book is a synthesis of what he believes should serve Nigeria best. Being a successful businessman himself, he has provided a blueprint for wealth creation across the board. As a detribalized politician, he is saying, in the fashion of the late Alhaji Waziri Ibrahim, a key player in the politics of the First and Second Republic, that the best policy is that polity without bitterness. As a lover of knowledge acquisition, his book makes the point that the democratization of education is imperative. I will leave it at that, since I'm not the one appointed to review the book on this occasion. My responsibility as the chairman is to welcome you all. But I could not have done that without getting a background of this great gentleman that we're honoring this morning. I must also turn to the second reason that we're here. It is to also celebrate his birthday, the birthday of Professor Obiora Okonkwo. We are marking his anniversary. And if I'm allowed to draw a soccer analogy, since we're in the period of the World Cup, I will say without fear of contradiction that here is a man that has demonstrated so much skill, size, dribble, speed, all the critical ingredients of a motivational player, that his role in the politics of our national team should be that of a striker. I leave to many of you to interpret or conclude those my comments. Once again, on behalf of all of us, we wish you many, many more years of good health, happiness, and many celebrations with you and your lovely wife and your family. We wish him all of God's blessing and abundance of good health. Many happy returns to the day, my dear Obiora. Thank you very much.
For it is a mark of courage that Professor Okonkwo took on this topic head on. It is in the espousal of the ideas of living meaningfully in peace, plenty, and progress that other ideas in this book are postulated. In chapter 5, Nigeria, Ndi Igbo in contemporary Nigeria, a social, cultural, political, and economic reflection, the author examines the place of his ethnic group in the Nigerian Union. In chapter 10, alumni as stakeholders in quality education and social development, his attention shifts to the roles of a privileged category of people who could play in improving the important sector of education. I mentioned these chapters just to make the point that this book is a potpourri of ideas developed and presented for consideration by nationals of this country. As a matter of personal interest, there are 3 more areas I'll just briefly touch before I am done. This is chapter 7, which is repositioning the Igbo apprenticeship scheme for sustainable economic development. Professor Okonkwo set up a research at Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, to study that phenomenon of apprenticeship. A lot of people in Nigeria know about Sir Louis Odumegwu Ojukwu. They know about Cosmas Maruka, Coschares. They know about Innocent Chukwuma of Innocent. But they may not know that all these people started in this apprenticeship scheme as houseboys. This scheme is being studied all over the world now in top flight institutions, including Harvard. Now, in resuscitating interest in it, Dr. Okonkwo is not just looking at the means of making personal money or thriving national economy. He's talking about the values that are inherent in getting people to be involved in creative productivity, which he says will throw them away from crime and drug abuse. That is why he is recommending this apprenticeship system, which in the Igbo they call Igbo Dibo, servanthood, Igbo boy, being a helping hand, learning a trade, becoming a tradesman. As a journalist, I have particular interest in chapter 12, which addresses the complex subject of media and national integration in Nigeria. What the author says in his book is that the place of the media is to push for true federalism. Before saying this, he made the point that the media played a central role in the fight for national independence, and that they played a unifying role during the internecine civil war. He is now saying that the media, what they should be doing is promote the cause of true federalism in this society.
It's rare to have an entrepreneur of the genre of Obiora Okonkwo also trying to outdo us in thinking and intellectual work. It's a very rare combination, and it has never ceased to fascinate me. He knows why I was prepared to give an arm and a leg for him to be governor. Because he who pays no attention to the head will watch the body rot under him. There are three things that took me. These are difficult times in Nigeria, very. And at times like this, you have to be appropriate politically. When people now talk of restructuring and they keep saying, oh, do you want us to go to regions? That is very pedestrian thinking. And I don't deal in pedestrianism. Nobody wants that. In a federation, you have a center with powers given to it by the federating units. When I hear some sophisticated language now, like subnational units, I say, which are subnational units? A federation has a center and federating units. You couldn't call Obiora subnational or Samad Bello subnational to who? To Tafawa Balewa? Or Wolowo subnational to Tafawa Balewa? So, Professor Okonkwo put it in the proper perspective. Please manage all diversities. I'm not talking of the major ones. I'm talking of the Birom. I'm talking of the Ogoni. I'm talking of them. Each one was created to be in Nigeria and has an equal right in Nigeria. There are no senior and junior Nigerians. And there will never be. Any people who think they can never succeed in making people junior and senior Nigerians in Nigeria is going to have trouble. And his children, he thinks he's protecting. One day, a child will arise from those he thinks are junior Nigerians, and they will be in trouble. So that chapter interests me very much. The second one, I happened to be in school when Obiora was Premier of Eastern Region. And God knows I love Obiora even after death until I die. There cannot be a premier like him. There cannot be a ruler like him. And I tried to tell that to Obiora when he was running. He shared the entire land. I put it in the forward. In GRA, Enugu. He didn't take any. He was Eastern Region included Port Harcourt. He didn't take any. And when he was given in Ikoyi, he didn't take it. The only property he borrowed 20,000 pounds from ACB to build, he gave to Biafra. That is the Biafra bunker. But what happened? The people he served contributed money and built a house. Beautiful, beautiful house where he was buried. And some of us who benefited from his selfless service made sure we were there in force.
I'm here to welcome you again to the presentation of the book, Making Nigeria Work, Pathways to Greatness. I'm also want to talk to you about the Prof Value Humanity Foundation, set up by my beloved husband to help the community in which we find ourselves in. Pro Value Humanity Foundation is a non-profit, non-governmental organization dedicated to transforming society by reorienting values for authentic human development. Pro Value Humanity Foundation focuses on people and believes in the authenticity of human development to serve as change agents in our society. We work to achieve this through capacity building, training, mobilization of incubating resources, partnership with local and international human development organizations. Our vision is to create a society where human persons is at the center of development and transform society by reorienting values of human development. Our chairman of the Pro Value Humanity Foundation has magnanimously approved for all the proceeds of this book presentation to be channeled to enhance the activities of the foundation, which in the past years has engaged in works through charities of various communities. Pro Value focuses on the sick, the forgotten, the needy, and most especially those in need of basic education. So far, our work in the communities where we are currently present has opened us to the reality of the existence as human belongings, where we are in contact directly with our fellow human beings who are chastised by poverty, abandonment, and at the mercy of death, starvation, while needing care, love, shelter, food, clothing, medication, and other essential amenities. These are people who, though they are alive, are practically not living. We have come in direct contact with the menace of out-of-school children who are growing without direction and care and may end up in the recruits of bulging world of crime around us. Our field officers scattered all over the local communities come in contact with these sets of Nigerians each passing day. We do our best to uplift them by providing secure and reassuring them of faith in humanity. But there's only so much that we can do given our available resources. Nevertheless, we engage selflessly and quietly in our work because of our belief that divine injunction as expressed by our Lord Jesus Christ when he said, "Whatever you do for the least of my brothers, that you do unto me." Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to end this short address by calling on all of us to be part of this effort in recreating our common humanity by supporting this project through our generous donations.
By 3 reviewers. Professor Obiora Okonkwo had been reviewed. Professor Obiora's book reviewed. And the only thing not yet reviewed is the bad day. And all the 3 key speakers, the chairman reviewed Obiora Okonkwo and the book reviewer reviewed the book, and slightly Professor Okonkwo. And indeed, the forward writer, Professor A.B.C. Mosu, reviewed Professor Obiora Okonkwo and also on the book. For me, my job this morning is quite little. It's necessarily to invite us to unveil the book. Then I will hand over to the chairman of APs, who is the key presenter, to now speak. But before then, we will also first cut the cake. And when I asked, Professor Okonkwo talked to me about this event, I asked him, what's the structure of the event? What's the arrangement? He said, no, it's not a big one, that he would just want a kind of close family event where people who are very close to him will be present just to honor him on his birthday. So when we now came, and the book is taking the the greater chunk of the event, I asked him, where is the birthday cake? And before us is the birthday cake. But talking about Professor Obiora Okonkwo and a close family meeting, a family event, and I asked myself, which of his families, his biological family, his club of airline owners, his club of entrepreneurs, his club of his alumni of Russian Academy of Science, his club of, name them. There is no strata of the society that you won't find Professor Okonkwo very active. And I share one experience. We have been joking since we sat here that I'm on his right hand, I'm by his right hand. And that was because there was a time we crossed each other on the negative. And it was very unintentional, but I share it before I say one thing and we'll move on. So I won't give the background, but I found myself somewhere. And I will ask somebody, who is this person? He will say, Chief, he's a Yoruba person. He will say, Chief Okonkwo, Chief Okonkwo. Another day I will call him, who is this person? He say, Chief Okonkwo, Chief Okonkwo. I say, who is Chief Okonkwo? And he doesn't know any other thing about Chief Okonkwo, Chief Okonkwo. So eventually, the third day, who is this person? Say, Chief Okonkwo, Chief Okonkwo. And I asked him to do something. And he did something that hurt Chief Okonkwo. And Chief Okonkwo showed up. I said, are you Chief Okonkwo? So I did Chief Okonkwo. I didn't know. And I really did not know. But let me say that one thing that has not been said of Professor Okonkwo is that he's one of the greatest minds of our time. Somebody was describing one great statesman of this country. He said that the man has the brain of an elephant, but the mind of an ant. And his mind cannot carry his brain. It is completely the reverse in the personality of Professor Obiora Okonkwo. Professor Okonkwo has the brain of an elephant and a very distinctive, progressive, selfless mind that not only carries the brain, but also carries the community.
Fearless ally. When I mean fearless, he's extremely fearless. He's like me. And that is why we are moving together. Again, is integrity. He has a lot of integrity in stock. If he tells you, we are going to bring down this roof, no matter what happens, even if the roof will collapse on our head, we are going to bring it down together. So those are the kind of people you need in the society. And I found in him a highly detribalized Nigerian. You see, this country is made up of 378 ethnic nationalities. We all make the mistake of thinking that we are just 250. No, it's 378 ethnic nationalities. Remember, I'm the national chairman of the Foundation for Ethnic Harmony in Nigeria. So I've traversed the entire 36 states of this country. I've traversed the entire 774 local governments in 2004, preaching broad nationalism. When I see this book, Making Nigeria Work, Pathways to Greatness, and he's talking about the value of diversity, restructuring to save Nigeria. Yes, I believe in restructuring. But the restructuring I'm preaching is the restructuring of the mindset. Except and only when Nigerians restructure their own mindset can we start thinking of having a nation. But if we have a Nigerian nation or country where we see each other from our tribes only, if we like, devolve powers to the regions, devolve powers, separate it, decentralize it, we are bound to be having problems. It is only except and only when we restructure our mindsets. We must have an open mind to humanity. We must see the advantages in the issues of diversity. Except and only when we do that, we may not have a nation. So we need to look at the values of diversity. It shouldn't be the albatross of this nation. And I think that is what Professor Obiora Okonkwo is preaching.
in his book. He's a giver. He's a selfless man. I've seen him. I've worked closely with him. Remember, he's the spokesman of the airline operators of Nigeria. And we work closely together. And I can attest to the quality he has brought into AON. It's unimaginable. And today, going through a few lines of the book, I've seen some things that make meaning to me. And as a result of this, as always, I always support anything I believe in. It's the only legacy, because we cannot go to our graves with our wallets. It's only the legacy we leave behind that will be remembered for, not the amount of money we take to our graves at the end of the day. So on behalf of Airpeace, the sister airline to United Nigeria Airlines, Airpeace will be giving this foundation through these books. I don't know how many you want to give me for 10 million naira. As many as I want. Okay. I'll be buying this book with 10 million naira, and I'll tell you how many copies I need at the end of the day, so that I can make this go round. I'll give it to the secondary schools, to some universities, and some organizations also, and some political actors. Maybe I'll buy for the Senate President and the two. And maybe to the traditional institution too. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Of course, I don't make open donation, and I will not make. But I can tell him that when I come to pay for this book, I will come with a bullion van. And you know what's the content of a bullion van is. So definitely we're going to launch this book on behalf of my husband, Chief Larry Epunifo Chendo, and the good people of Anambra Central. We're going to pay for the book to send to all the secondary schools in our zone in order to support the charity work the wife has just announced. So I want to thank you again for inviting me and to wish you well. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Talking of aged and deformed. So I thank you for Obiora and the wife for setting up this foundation to support the aged and those who are the low, downtrodden members of our society. We have read the book, Making Nigeria Work. I glanced into it and noticed what Hengel is one of the philosophers. What he said in this book, that we exist in a society. And I also listened to what Maitama Sule of the blessed memory, may his soul rest in peace, told our president when they went visiting him. And he told him that if you want Nigeria to work and your government to succeed, it must be built in justice, equity, and good conscience. That is the beginning of any restructuring. May God bless all of us, and I will support this book with a sum of 500,000 naira.
Where's the Chuamara and all the guests of honor, special friends gathered here. I am highly honored. When I was conceptualizing this event, it was a little bit complicated in my mind. What nature will it take? I know if I want to call 5,000 people to come and eat and drink, I will fill up any hall. But I haven't made a book presentation before, and I knew it can only be worth it if it's the way it should be. I made some consultations, telling them I just want something very intimate, something very close, people who mean a lot to me. And I'm glad we achieved that, and even overachieved that with the presence of all of you who are gathered there. Thank you for the honor.